eyes, noses, color, hairiness, texture, etc. Just like the many supposed ape-man species, all dinosaur reconstructions are 100% fictional fabrications created by invested and inventive evolutionists. They purposely present dinosaurs to children in the media to spark and bias their young imaginations toward their machinations. Cartoons like Ice Age and The Land Before Time, movies like Jurassic Park and Dinosaur Island, coloring books, dolls, plastic toys, elementary school textbooks, and huge displays in children's museums certainly have an effect on budding young minds. National Geographic and the Ice Age movies were produced by Mason Rupert Murdoch's News Corp and 20th Century Fox. The Masonic production company Universal Studios created Jurassic Park and The Land Before Time. They are owned by Comcast, whose main shareholders are Masons, J.P. Morgan, and the Rothschilds. Discovery Channel, which features many dinosaur documentaries, is also financially advised by N.M. Rothschilds and Son Limited. Former paleontology student Michael Forsell claimed on a radio interview with leading paleontologist Jack Horner that he was a total fraud, fabricating evidence and perpetuating the myth of dinosaurs. He continued on saying, "I started my career in the field of paleontology only to leave my studies once I realized the whole thing was a sham. It's nonsense. Most of the so-called skeletons in museums are actually plaster casts. They even do it openly on documentaries now, preserving the bones my ass. I struggled as a student mainly because I could not tell the difference between a fossilized egg and an ordinary rock, and of course there is no difference. I was treated like a leper when I refused to buy into their propaganda and promptly left the course. Dinosaurs never existed. The whole shebang is a freak show. They just grab a couple of old bones and form them into their latest Frankenstein's monster-like exhibit. We are all being fooled, and it's wrong, but together we can stop it." Many claim that since dinosaur fossils have been radiometrically dated to be tens of millions of years old, that their authenticity is thus proven. The fact is, however, that the methods used to date dinosaur fossils involve not measuring the actual fossils, but the rocks near where they are found. Most fossils are found near the surface of the Earth, and if a modern-day animal were to die in the area, paleontologists would be likely to date them the same age. Dr. Margaret Helder, in her book Completing the Picture, a handbook on museums and interpretive centers dealing with fossils, she writes, "Scientists used to be very impressed with the potential of radiometric for coming up with absolutely reliable ages of some kinds of rocks. They do not feel that way anymore. Having had to deal with numerous calculated dates which are too young or too old compared with what they expected, scientists now admit that the process has many more uncertainties than they ever would have supposed in the early years. The public knows almost nothing about uncertainties in the dating of rocks. The impression that most people have received is that many rocks on Earth are extremely old and that the technology exists to make accurate measurements of the ages. Scientists have become more and more aware, however, that the measurements which the machines make may tell us nothing about the actual age of the rock." One of the main reasons that evolutionists needed the existence of dinosaurs was to answer the complicated problems present in the theory of evolution, including sea-dwelling animals evolving into land-dwellers, reptiles evolving wings, feathers, flying and becoming birds, as well as other reptiles evolving warm blood, live births, breasts, and becoming mammals, through their imaginary multi-million-year timeline and a variety of supposed transitional dinosaur forms. The paleontological establishment has been promoting various sea dinosaur, reptile-slash-birds, and reptile-slash-mammals to bridge these gaps. Many professionals and experts in the field have disputed such findings as often as they have been presented, however. Dr. Storrs Olson, a Smithsonian Institute scientist, wrote, "The idea of feathered dinosaurs and the theropod origin of birds is being actively promulgated by a cadre of zealous scientists acting in concert with certain editors at Nature and National Geographic, who themselves have become outspoken and highly biased proselytizers of the faith. Truth and careful scientific weighing of evidence have been among the first casualties in their program, which is now fast becoming one of the grander scientific hoaxes of our age. No authentic feathers have ever been found with dinosaur fossils, though a few exposed hoaxes certainly attempted to fake it. Dr. Olson called the adding of feathers to their findings hype, wishful thinking, propaganda, nonsense fantasia and a hoax. In the 1990s, many fossils with feathers were supposedly discovered in China, suspiciously close to the Zhejiang Dino Ocean Art Company, but when examined, Dr. Timothy Rowe found the so-called Confuciusaurus was an elaborate hoax. He also found the Archaeoraptor, supposedly discovered in the 90s, was composed of bones from 5 different animals. When Dr. Rowe presented his findings to National Geographic, the head scientist reportedly remarked, "Well, all of these have been fiddled with." National Geographic then proceeded with their news conferences and media stories about the Archaeoraptor fossils being genuine and having found the missing link in evolution. Robin Kofod wrote, "In 1999, National Geographic magazine was busted when they presented in a colorful and fancily presented article the missing link, an Archaeoraptor dinosaur which was supposed to support the basic tenet of evolutionary theory that dinosaurs had slowly developed over millions of years. Their proof consisted of a fossil where carefully arranged bone imprints gave the impression of a creature half dinosaur and half bird. The scan was discovered during a CT scan which uncovered unnatural bone links. National Geographic magazine was later forced to admit, when pressured, that the fossil was man-made." Paleontologists claim that Archaeopteryx is another transitional form of bird evolved from dinosaurs, but this theory falls on its face against overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Other species like Confuciusaurus, Launingornis, and Eolalavis have all been found to be contemporary with the Archaeopteryx and are indistinguishable from present-day birds. Alan Fiducia from University of North Carolina, one of the most famous ornithologists in the world, stated, "I've studied bird skulls for 25 years, and I don't see any similarities whatsoever. I just don't see it. Theropod origin of birds, in my opinion, will be the greatest embarrassment of paleontology of the 20th century." Larry Martin from the University of Kansas, a paleoornithologist, says, "To tell you the truth, if I had to support the dinosaur origin of birds with those characters, I'd be embarrassed every time I had to get up and talk about it. Even if dinosaurs did evolve into birds to fill their evolution gap, it does not explain how something like the common housefly could have evolved. Flies flap their wings simultaneously 500 times per second. Even the slightest dissonance in vibration would cause them to lose balance and fall. But this never happens. How could they evolve such an amazing and specialized ability? Why were dinosaurs never discovered before the evolutionist renaissance in the mid-19th century? Why do paleontologists think they can reconstruct an entire species of ancient animal from a few teeth? Why have so many dinosaur discoveries turned out to be hoaxes? Why are all authentic dinosaur fossils kept under tight lock and key away from any independent analysis? Why has erosion and weathering not destroyed all these supposed prints and fossils that are allegedly millions of years old? If dinosaurs were supposedly wiped out by a meteor impact or other such catastrophe, why is it that all the other various animal species that exist today were not similarly wiped out? There are many more questions which need to be answered before anyone in their right mind should consider the existence of dinosaurs anything but a convenient evolutionist myth. Robin Kofod wrote, "The paleontological establishment can control which hypotheses will be constructed through textbooks and the curriculum. In this way, students are brainwashed into a pseudo-reality controlled by text material and the teacher's authority. A short practical example. A random dental bone is found at an excavation site, and from this dental bone the rest of the skeleton is guessed at. We are not kidding about this. The entire dinosaurian field of the paleontological program is a sham."